And we're live. Good evening, everybody. I'm Brendan Baylod, the administrator of the Great Lakes Shipwreck Research Group and the president of the Wisconsin Underwater Archaeology Association. I'm here tonight with two of our ships presenters for our Ghost Ship Speaker Sneak Peek of the week. And for those of you who joined us the last 2 weeks for Caitlin and Kendra, you got to hear about some Great Lakes underwater archaeology, but tonight we're here with two of the Great Lakes, I would say, legendary wreck hunters. We're going to be doing a major talk here at Go Ships, and we're so pleased to have them. Welcome, Ken Merryman and Jerry Eliason.
Yeah. Hello.
Be here. Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, Ken and Jerry found the Henry Steinbrenner, one of the holy grails of Lake Superior this year, and they're going to talk about it at the Ghost Ships Festival. It's really something, and from a guy, what I like to think of myself as sort of a part-time uh, shallow water wreck hunter. These guys are really kind of my heroes. So it's always a privilege to get to talk to you fellas. So first thing I wanted to ask you guys, I guess I'm not going to ask you a lot about your background because most of us who are watching already know about it. But I look for, kind of what I call low hanging fruit. If there's a wreck that I think people have overlooked and I can find it in an afternoon in 50 feet of water, I'll do it. But you guys have gone after some of the holy grails of the Great Lakes successfully. Why do you look for these wrecks that are in, these huge search grids in, 600, 700, 800 feet of water?
Well, I don't consider the Steinbrenner to have been a particularly huge search grid. The Coast Guard report said it was 15 miles due south of Isle Royal Light. So that's a pretty precise location. Not that it was exactly there by any means, but that was one of the reasons I think we went for the Steinbrenners. We thought we had a chance. It's not like the minesweepers, which are someplace. That's about as specific as it is.
Yeah, I agree. We always evaluate what's feasible, and what it's going to cost us. So yeah, and it's based on how much area you have to search and your probability of finding something. So the deep ones, yeah, that's kind of unusual, but yeah, the stuff we've hunted for lately hasn't been that big a search area. Some has taken us a while.
I've actually gotten so I like looking for the ones too deep to dive, simply because no one puts any dive lines on them. So then when we go back, we don't get our camera snagged or in it. So.
So one of the things, and I've got a little experience with that. Dusty Clifton and I went out and tried to find the Jennifer this past year, and pretty big grid, way out in deep water. We searched all night, around the clock, and all we found were some great big, what I think are hydrocarbon craters on the bottom of the lake in 500 feet of water. We didn't find the wreck, and I really got to appreciate what you guys do, because we were out in the middle of nowhere in the shipping lanes at night, where you couldn't see anything, running this just huge search grid and trying to stay awake. Always afraid of getting hit by an ore boat. How do you guys deal with that when you're so far from shore? Not many people search that far out. Do you have to take any special precautions?
We do. Actually, we don't typically stay out overnight, hunting. We usually are a little more civilized, although this one we did because it was late in the season and, September, and we realized our window of opportunity was closing. But we were, it depends, where you're searching. The Steinbrenner was not on shipping lanes. It was quite a ways off of the shipping lanes. And first we didn't understand why, but so that wasn't too bad. We have AIS transmitter, and we watch AIS and radar. So we do have those on, and if we're in traffic.
So one of the things that I've been out on the boat with you guys, and seen some of the equipment that you use. It's amazing to me how you guys rigged up a side scan, that can search at that kind of depth using just commercial products and a drop camera using stuff from Menards. Do you guys like have an engineering background, either one of you, or how do you come up with this stuff? It's like the most amazing Rube Goldberg stuff, and it works.
Well, the winters are long. Although this year I'm thinking we shouldn't have put the boats away. We should have kept them out. It's been so nice. But the winters are long, so you got time to play, and then a little alcohol, and you got Amazon and eBay, so that's a contributing factor.
Yeah. I was an engineer. I'm an engineer. Jerry is basically an engineer too, not degreed in engineering, but he's an inventor, I guess. So.
Yeah, one of the things that impressed me the most is when I found out that Jerry had made his own side scan sonar, and not like the way Bob Jake and I do by, throwing a fish fighter transducer. He and his son literally built a side scan sonar from the circuits up. That was quite a feat. Do you guys still use that old sonar anymore, or is it now pretty much just the Garmin's?
We would use that if there was anything to look for in shallow water. So it's still functioning. I'm proud of that. The unit that we haven't had any problems with it, and that was over 20 years ago that my son built it.
Actually, that's it right up there on the bench.
Oh yeah, on that picture, yeah, just the towfish,
yeah, the towfish, yeah.
Yeah, it's an excellent sonar. Randy Beebe and I used it once. I'd put it right up there with a Marine Sonic. Really,
we've only ever built our own stuff. When we started, Jerry had a sonar that, towfish that he had built that was both of them, his and mine. We both had built one, and they only went one direction, so we'd tow two sonars or two towfish, one shooting to the left and one shooting to the right. So
guys, my next question for you: what interested you in finding the Henry Steinbrenner? I mean, this thing in 1953, a fairly modern wreck, really an ore boat. It has quite a bit of oral history and tradition up there. I remember my friend Art Lassen, and when he was a young man, brought in the spotlight, the searchlight from the Steinbrenner. He and his dad had found it floating in the lake, and he always was interested in the possibility of somebody finding it someday. And I always said, I don't think so, Art. It's way out there in the middle of the lake. So what made you guys go after this?
Well, for me, we started talking about this 10 years ago. And actually, I think we started searching for it 9 years ago. For me, it was the possibility of finding a wreck that some of the survivors or a survivor might still be alive. And 10 years ago, that was a potential, but it took us, with me leaving for the circumnavigation, it took us so many years to find it that there's none of the survivors that are still alive. But that, if we'd had a survivor, I think it would have made a great story, and it would have been something people could relate to. So for me, that kind of was a high reason, or a big reason why I wanted to search for it.
For me, I think it was one because it was there. I'm always happy when somebody else finds a shipwreck, because then it's one that I don't have to feel compelled to look for. But it had a good location. I mean, it wasn't just off Eagle Harbor. It gave a precise distance and a precise angle. So the search area wasn't nearly as big as a lot of those that remain. And the truth is, there really aren't a lot of good locations on the wrecks that haven't been found.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, it seems to me like this was a needle in a haystack, but I think one of the things we'll learn in your talk is that it really wasn't as much of a needle in a haystack as something like the minesweepers. So I got to give you guys credit, though. That's way further out than I want to go in a boat. So my last question for you guys, because I know we're coming up on time here, is what was it like? What was it like when you were out there and you finally ran it over? And I don't want to give away too much of your talk, but did it look like a ship?
Well, our cheap unit that does most of what the expensive ones do, we don't get to see that live time. So it's what we're running our passes. We put in a 10-hour thing, and we didn't know really if we'd found anything till we brought it up after 10 hours.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. So, but it didn't look as shipwrecky as we'd hoped. And after we got the camera on it, we realized why it didn't look as good as it turned out. The explanation why it didn't look so great on sonar is it is impacted in the bottom, a substantial portion of it.
I see.
I think had it stood up like we imagined it would, we probably would have seen it on our surface sonars. But yeah, it was, yeah, it really didn't look like much on the bottom, other than the iron ore spill that was what gave it away.
What kind of depth range did it end up being in?
750, I think it was.
Wow.
Yes.
Not the deepest wreck on Lake Superior, but pretty far down there.
Yeah. Is that right, Jerry? It was 750, right?
Yeah, 740, 750. When Tom went out there a couple weeks later with his ROV, I see on his picture showing the name, it shows 740 on there. So we were reading 750, and so there's a fair discrepancy. You never know if a sonar is calibrated for saltwater or freshwater, so there'll be little discrepancies between the depth.
Yeah. Sure. Well, guys, I'm really looking forward to hearing your talk. I know we've got a lot of people coming to hear about the discovery of the Steinbrenner. Should be a great Ghost Ships Festival. We've had some great ones back in Milwaukee. This one will be hopefully no different. So thank you guys for coming and doing this Ghost Ships Festival speaker sneak peek. For those of you who are gonna, have been following these, next week, I think it is on February 6th, I've got Yvonne Drebert and Zach Melnick. They are documentary producers. Their company's Inspired Planet Productions. They are out of Ontario, Canada, and they do some amazing underwater documentaries on the Great Lakes environment. And when they were doing one of their documentaries, they found the lost steamer Africa off of Tobermory. So we'll be interviewing them, and you'll get to meet them live on this program next week. So do tune in. Also, if you don't have your pre-registration yet for the Ghost Ships Festival, please do so. It helps us to know how many programs to print. So go to ghostshipsfestival.com and do pre-register if you can. It's $25 at the gate, but it's only $20 if you pre-register. So don't hesitate to do that. Anything last minute, guys, before we wrap up that you'd like to share about your presentation that I didn't cover or that we didn't get to?
Not that I can think of. We'll do our best to get a feel for, but we can't drag it out like that Oak Island show. I love that show. It's been going on now for 12 years, and they get so excited about finding a rusty nail. I mean, I just can't imagine people still watching that show. But
yeah. Well, guys, I think we should have a pretty good festival this year, and no Oak Island. Unfortunately, we try to focus less on pseudo history and more on real history. What else? A couple of other last minute things. If you want to sponsor Ghost Ships Festival, contact me. We have ad space for sponsors on our website, and do pre-register. All right, guys. Thanks so much for your time. Stick around after we wrap up. We can do a little post-mortem. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you all at Ghost Ships.